So now, time for the stars of the night, Wallace and Léo. Please, let's use the mic.
Good evening, everybody. We're here today to present to you some tools that being adapted to our daily routine here at the EBAPE. Was a time when research was done deep into a library, spending hours reading old books and stuff like this. However, here at EBAPE, we are in use of the most modern tools that are now available for all of us. And we are here to show you some of them that we usually use. So now it's not necessarily to show you, to memorize, to take notes of them, but just how this could be applied to our work here at the EBAPE. The subject that's been very discussed lately is artificial intelligence, right? Anywhere that you look, people are talking about artificial intelligence tools. So actually, what's there for us researchers? Here at the bottom, actually, first, what is artificial intelligence anyway? Artificial intelligence is a computer program that is capable of simulate the human cognitive process. A program that can learn from your repetitions and can reason, can make it, can solve problems and have ability of perception of what you want or what you're writing. For example, now we have the very famous ChatGPT, in which is looks like an advanced in a search engine, however, is way more than this. And from there, people start to develop some tools that are being applied in a lot of fields, even medical fields. But what's there in those tools for us researchers? What can we use? What can we do? Now, first, the process of creating an article for us, actually, let's say for me, it's quite simple. You have at first to find the paper, the literature that you're gonna use after you decide your research question. Then you have to read it to know about this problem and what you are trying to solve. Then you have to take notes because you're not gonna memorize everything. And then you have to start actually writing for this. And now here, since we come to all these steps to produce our work, we are now able to adapt some of those tools in each of these steps to get out there more easily. So first, once you want to find a paper for you, let's say you have a problem that you want to solve about blood donations, and you have some work already published about this. But once you stop Googling, type blood donations and start to looking for all those results, now we have, for example, Research Rabbit is an AI tool that helps you to find a proper paper for work. This is the usually interface for Research Rabbit. This is mine, actually. It's some example. Now I'm working on presidential success and world economy, how these two things relate. As you can see over here, I can add the papers that I'm using, and this AI tool, they gave me the resume, some summary for these papers, and also they connect the authors, showing me how much they work together, and also give me this panel showing me the linkages from those works. I mean, if I have a work from Professor, here I have Professor Campello, which is here at the EBAPE, and Professor Dutch Stevenson. This app shows me all the works that connect those two, that are being cited by those two, and how what works are similar to those two. This is very important. Here I have my, let's say, my search for a proper literature um, being presented to me in a more efficient way. I don't have to spend so much time looking for the perfect paper. This is gonna help me to find it. Now, since you find the papers that you need to read, you have to actually read them and actually understanding. For this, we also use very much these three tools: Elist, Consensus, and Rumata. Those are great. Rumata, for example, uh, has this interface. I'm giving you an example from this paper that I use a lot, Presidential Success and World Economy, for both of professors here at the BAP, César Zucco and Daniela Campello. And Rumata lets you ask some things about this paper. If you not understand correctly, or if you have so many doubts, just like this, I asked Rumata, what's the method that the authors of this paper use it to reach those conclusions? And then Rumata gave me the answer. Uh, Later on, we're gonna talk about how much you're not supposed to trust everything about this, but he also points you the pages in the article that show what it's saying. It's very productive when you are reading so many papers and you want to be sure what you're taking from it. So it's nice to ask something that you want to be sure about it. This is why we actually use Rumata. And now the final part is taking notes and writing for actually producing your article. And at final, we have these four tools. They are quite similar. They all let you to make summaries of what you're reading, and works as a notepad, and later on helps you improve your writing. Um, Actually even working as a spell check and suggesting you to increase your, let's say, this one is Jenny. Jenny is an AI tool that helps to improve your writing, not just as a spell check, but also you can select a part of your text to, if you want to sound more positive, if you want to sound more, I don't know, more, you want some more depth on the subject, then this tool helps you, giving you tips. She's not gonna write for you, but she gives you tips about what words to use, how to address some of your sentences, rewrite them. And also Jenny, everything I'm presenting here is free, is available online, okay? And also Jenny works as a spell check, and he also corrects your English, just actually suggests you to write more in academic way, or if you want a more modern parlance, it's also available. This one is Lateral. Lateral works as a note taking, and also just like an Excel spreadsheet. When you add some paper, add this, he gives you a summary of the paper like everybody else. And it gives you, you can add columns of what you want for to take notes about this paper. However, he does to you some things automatically, like what's the main conclusion of those papers, and what papers connect with, when you have a list, what papers connect to each one. So helps you just do the neural map, just like Research Rabbit. So you know on your notes what are the papers that you are most supposed to use, and what those that are actually spendable. But as I said before, you have to be aware of something. Although they simulate the human cognitive process, AI tools are not perfect. They are subject to error, and they do mistake a lot. So every time that you are working with this, you have to check what you get from those tools. And we are doing this here a lot. We never trust entirely on this. You have to adapt what you are receiving from this, the texts, the results. you look what you read, don't trust anything, adapt to your language, don't search for any tool that writes for you, actually it doesn't exist, thank God. And then you have some journals now ask you to credit it as a font, this as a source, yeah, sorry. Not all of them, however, this is a very recent tool that being spread, but pretty soon they all be asked to be credited as a source. So just take this in account when you are using them. After you've done all of this and you are actually working on your thesis, there are some 3 tools that are essential and you're using daily over here. And Leo knows everything about them, which is R, LaTeX, and Zotero.
Awesome, awesome. So yeah, after you drafted, researched everything using AI tools, what is the most efficient and productive way to actually make a paper? And this applies both to quantitative and qualitative methods because it includes effective ways to cite things, to locate things, to actually write the paper. But if you're running regressions, if you're doing a lot of plots, how to integrate those plots into a document that organize everything much better than Word and much faster. So what are those 3 tools? What is R, what is Zotero, and what is LaTeX? So essentially, R is your usual data science program, just like Python. It does plotting, it does regression. You can work with text as data. You can save everything. It can even do some machine learning. It's a very open, easy tool. And Zotero, on the other hand, is where you store your papers, your books, everything that you want to cite, even if it's a program. Essentially, it stores things locally or in the cloud. If you want to store it, though the space is limited. It automatically generates your citations and references. You can upload a PDF, you can take notes in the PDF and extract only the notes, which already come with the citation in case you want to copy and paste on your paper. You can do those notes in a tablet and everything's gonna automatically update to your computer. And as we'll get in depth later, you can generate a file that will save the important information from the citation, so you can automatically cite that instead of having an actual text with the authors and the date. And finally, we have LaTeX, which is the text editor. Essentially, people know this as an interface to do math, just because of the pretty math notation we are used to seeing. But it's actually a very easier and more intuitive tool to label and refer to your sections or to your plots. You can connect, as I said, with the citation file that Zotero generates. You can connect with the automatic plots and tables that are coming out of R. And of course, you do this and you're very free to customize and operate the entire structure. And I want to emphasize that all of those 3 sources, they are open source, meaning you don't have to pay them. You can edit and go beyond their basic capabilities by doing your own code if you are into that. And most importantly, you can get new pieces, packages, libraries that other smarter people did that create new capabilities for those 3 applications. And once combined, they become essentially the most powerful tool you can find. So next. Okay, so I'm going to present my research logic, the way I combine them. Then I'm going to explain briefly how those 3 work and how I can combine them into one application. So essentially, Zotero is where I save all my references and where I create this .bib file that updates itself automatically. Then I'm doing my plots, my code. I do a lot of quantitative analysis. So I'm working a lot of R. I create my plots, my tables, and I save them on standardized pathways. And when I start actually writing my document, so just like in Word, but this time on LaTeX, I'm gonna use commands to cite things from my .bib file I'm gonna use one command to print my entire bibliography, depending on what I just cited. And similarly, I can include all the plots that I know where they are because they're standardized, and input them in my text using different commands. So that's how everything comes together. Next. Okay, that's definitely too deep for like a brief overview on these three topics, but in case you want to watch this again and pause and take a look of my personal workflow, but the idea, the general idea is here is you start by using the AI tools, finding the papers, drafting, connecting them, saving them now in Zotero. Of course, you want to interpret them, but maybe now you want to take notes in your Zotero because it saves them in a more efficient way. Once you're done using Zotero and saving all your papers, then you can start coding, right? You start with raw data, then you process data, you save everything to your computer, you make your tables, your plots, you save everything, and then you start writing your paragraphs. And it is at this point that everything that you want to cite is already in Zotero. So you use the information from Zotero to cite straight on LaTeX. Then if you want to put some plot, you just connect to your computer files, which you know where they are, and use everything. And I would argue the fun part of this entire complex workflow is that when you get to the end and you have a PDF with tables, with plots, with citations, and you're like, oh, I actually need to run an additional statistical analysis, or I forgot to cite someone, or something didn't work, you can simply go back to some point here, either export something again or save again, but again, in a very easy way, and just press one button to compile and review, and your PDF will be generated automatically with everything updated. So that's the gist of it. Okay, so basics on Zotero. This is the interface. Essentially, you have folders in which you can save specific papers. This is all of your papers. So you have the title, you have the author, the year, the very classic stuff, and you can access the metadata, essentially the tiny information, the publication, the language. You can add the abstract here as well, but for, let's say, simple use, that's Zotero. Next one. More efficiently, instead of inputting the information for each citation you want, you can install a plugin for your browser that with 2 clicks, you can select that, yes, I want to save whatever page I'm in, and Zotero, because it's open source, is constantly updating, knows most journals at this point, and can identify that, oh, this is a citation, those are the authors, that's the year, that's the abstract. You select your folder, and it's gonna automatically save all the metadata from this website. Next one. Additionally, if the article, the PDF, is open to the public without paying, it automatically downloads the PDF for you and also saves in Zotero, which is also cool. If you already have the PDF, say someone sent it to you or you had it from class, you can also drag and drop your PDF, and Zotero, hoping that the standard format of some journal is followed in the PDF, will try to find metadata and automatically cite your article just by dragging and dropping, which I think it's pretty magical. Next one. Of course, sometimes you drag and drop, the name of the PDF is weird, like, oh, submitted version. That could confuse you later on. Next. But Zotero is ahead of you. You can just rename file from the metadata. Everything that's already cited, the author, the name, it will automatically update. So once you've saved your citation and now you actually want to cite it, there are 2 ways. The easy way is just right-click, create bibliography, choose your citation style. Oh, my citation style is not here. Not to worry, someone probably downloaded and uploaded this to Zotero. You can manage your styles, download your style, teach Zotero how to cite your way, and that's pretty much done. Or you can cite all of your papers with 1 click of a button inside a folder. In this case, next one, that's your result. So with 2 clicks, you have all your citations, probably organized in alphabetical order if that's the default setting. Next one. So what I want to bring here is, okay, that's very useful, but how can it be better? And I would argue that automating always makes things better. So instead of creating a bibliography, so text with the citation, we're actually creating a bib file, a .bib. What is that? Next one. It is, well, it is still a text file, but it's in such a format that the information that you need to cite is here, not the citation itself. And this will be very important when we use LaTeX later on. Even cooler, instead of clicking individually and creating a bib file every time you want to cite something, you can download another plugin, this time a plugin for Zotero, which, next, if you set it up, every time you change your Zotero, meaning every time you change the author name, every time you add information, every time you add a paper to a folder, it will automatically save the .bib file. So the same thing we were like clicking, it will do it automatically on change forever. This means that every time I add something, I can be confident that following a certain citation key, which is also customizable, but it's usually author, year, right? It's going to be there. And you can refer back to that specific citation within the bib file through that citation key. And here's mine. So I save my whole library. So everything I put in Zotero is on this file. I know where this file is. So my entire academic life is condensed in less than a megabyte of text. Next. So cool. So this is Zotero. You get references. You can add them manually. You can use the plugin web page or drag and drop. To extract, you can extract just text, or you can create the .bib file, which you can use to refer with LaTeX later on. And the .bib can be automated with this additional plugin. Okay, so basics on R. So this is how it looks. So instead of being like a pretty table that I can read, now it's a table that LaTeX can read. So I just saved that as something on my computer and it's there. Now, every time, next one, every time I say input and I put the pathway, bang, my table is there. I can change my table in R. I can change my variables. I can change anything I want, but every time I press my LaTeX, it will put the recently updated table. Next one. And cool. And the fun part is that you can combine that into one particular place. Inside our studio, you have this tool called R Markdown. And R Markdown allows you to create a document that is text, that is code. Everything that you can see here can be put into Markdown. So SQL, you can do Python, you can do C++, everything in one file. And once you say that you want it in PDF, our studio will use LaTeX to compile, to make that file happen. Next one. So in my case here, I set up my document. Again, there's a YouTube tutorial to teach, or I mean, you can just learn and see how you want to set up your own document. Here is just me writing. Notice that I use the same commands as in LaTeX. So I'm writing in LaTeX. In this case, I'm explaining the data and just putting bullet points of the variables, right? So simple stuff, just looks ugly, but it's simple stuff. Next one. When I want to code R, I create a chunk of R. I run my regression. I create the output of my regression, and I just keep going with text. So it's LaTeX and suddenly R, and then LaTeX again. And you can set up different customizations to how things show up in your PDF. Then, if you're not satisfied with integrating R and LaTeX, you can also cite stuff using Zotero in that same document. So in this case, I open an introduction, I use a symbol, I use the same citation key, right, from Zotero. And when I press to create a PDF, it creates the text with the citation and automatically adds that to the reference page. If I'm doing that and in the next code chunk that's in R, like it's gonna compute as in R. So here I have a math function in LaTeX, and then I have my code in R, and then I come back to LaTeX. Next one. Or I could do in Python and R, and again, if I press one button, everything will become a PDF. You can do in different formats, but PDF would be the most interesting one. Next one. So in this case, here's me running code and showing the result of the code, and then explaining the code and then running something again, or next one. Or I can simply hide the code. And this would be what a paper looks like. I can just, this is not a figure or a table. This is generated by code that I have on that document. So I'm explaining something. I have a code chunk. I have the table that comes from that. I have a math. I have my text. So everything in one place. So cool. So I know that was a lot, especially combined with AI tools. So the big takeaway here is there's no limits to what you can do as a researcher, especially now with this technology. Everything is to help you, make you more productive, and you can literally do anything with the packages that people make. And if there's something you cannot do in R, you can code yourself. You can use HTML. You can make slides using LaTeX. You can make interactive plots in HTML. You can make web pages using R. And everything is luckily in one place. All the packages, all the libraries you need, you can go to one website and download to your computer. And now you can use. And here, just to highlight my experience. So I was drafting my master's dissertation. I organized my folders, very important step. Then I create a bunch of markdown files, right? One markdown maybe is to do the preliminary analysis. One is the main analysis. One is, I don't know, just the important plots. Then I actually create slides with my results. So essentially, it would be like slide of introduction, then some
just plots to contextualize my data, and then my big regression, and then some bullet points on my conclusion. Then I would show those slides as a PDF to my supervisor. They'll say, okay, that makes sense. Oh no, you need to run this again. Can you try considering that variable? And then I go back to running the same markdown. So I use the same slide document. I just change the code. I just add variables. I just add plots. I just do things differently. Run my slides again. Show them to my supervisor. And like, okay, now this is better, but now you do this. This whole process I did around 7 times, meaning I was working with the same document, just different code with different results, just adding stuff to it. And if my supervisor liked it, I kept them. Good. When I started writing my dissertation, that's when I opened my LaTeX. So my folders, they follow in order. My markdowns, they also follow in order. I run everything, so I'm saving all my plots and tables to my folders. And then one button, I compile LaTeX. All of those plots and tables come into a nice text PDF. Then I show to my supervisor. Now it's not only slides with results, it's actually words, context, literature review, etc. It takes a look. Maybe I need to change something. Now I need to change something like an introduction, or my conclusion doesn't have the empirical context that it needed to. Okay, so I'll just change text, and maybe if I need to, oh, so now this table in this context sounds like something is off, change this variable. Okay, I come here, change, compile everything again, and I was done. And I've done this 2 times. Hopefully the next one will be the last. But yeah, that's how you integrate all of those 3 tools into your workflow. And okay, the big question, what now? A bunch of stuff. Am I gonna waste my life just learning commands on your computer? Okay, so to kind of tie back to how our, I don't know, lecture, talk, workshop started, AI tools. You can go back to ChatGPT and say, okay, how do I do this? How do I use LaTeX? How do you use R? Of course, more specific questions. Or you can go to an old blog. Stack Overflow is beautiful. People ask questions, people answer questions, people put code. You cannot code without checking Stack Overflow at least 100 times. But most importantly, I think that the mentality that we learn and that I would advise you to develop is the hacker mentality. Meaning code is not something that you learn and then just start doing. Oh no, I know this, I know this. No, you really don't know anything. You kind of memorize some key points and you know the overall logic, but every time you need to do something, you're trying new stuff and you are searching new stuff either online or with ChatGPT. Meaning, okay, I need to run a regression. I have no idea how to do this. I type how to do this. I figure it out as I go. I try different options. I open different arguments. I just try different stuff. Then if nothing works, it probably won't. You watch tutorials, you search in blogs, you use ChatGPT. And that's kind of low key. You copy other people's code, see if it works, change something. Code is just code. And when you fail, you go back to your first step. You try something new, you go to blogs, you check other people's code, and that's just how you do it. And I guess my intention in Wallace here is just to show you that academia can be different from what we kind of learn as, oh, just go to the library, read 30 books and try to connect how Foucault understands. No, it can be something math-based. It can be code. It can be using AI tools to connect the lit review. I don't know. I consider that fun. And I think it's one of the advantages of our program here is that we incentivize this kind of stuff. And students like to share this. And I think in the end, research just gets better. So yeah, I think now we can open for questions. We have time, right? Cool. So any questions on AI, on any of those languages, or just the program in general, we're here.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I was very impressed by the open source, that everything's free. That's amazing. And I used Mendeley in my project. like manually integrating with Word is like a fraction of what this can do for us. But I got a little lost on the presentation on the part that you introduced this R Markdown to integrate both. I understand that you have like a online IDE or a local IDE for LaTeX in your computer, and that can reference both R and Zotero. But I didn't understand exactly. Use R Markdown like a different IDE to integrate all the three.
So IDE is just the interface in which you code. It's the same. It's just a different type of file. So instead of having your script, your R script that just does R, you open a different file in the same IDE, in the same platform, the same interface, and now it does everything.
In your process right now, where do you introduce R Markdown?
From the start. I don't use R by itself anymore. So if I just want to code R, I do in R Markdown, because I can code and then I can say, oh, here I find something. So when I go back to my code, I'm kind of reminding myself, because when you code, you can put comments and stuff, which is kind of hard to read. But no, in Markdown, you can just type. So I only code in Markdown.
Okay, thank you.
Questions?
Okay. Hi, Leo Wallace. Thank you so much for your presentation. Very good job explaining to us how you can manage all these tools. However, I was intrigued by, in many fields, like in public administration and behavioral sciences, we have journals that don't accept PDF files, right? So I work with some guys in finance and we work with LaTeX. So it's really good tool to manage with all the math that we have with the equations. But did you manage how to break the PDF and go to the Word, because many journals only accept what I saw that in this tool, right?
Yeah.
So when you break to the Word, the PDF,
so instead of creating a PDF, it creates a Word document.
Okay.
So it's the same thing. Everything you're seeing in PDF now, it's a Word. The only difference is that it doesn't do LaTeX. So you cannot do the code bits that I showed.
This is what I was.
Yeah. Because LaTeX is about creating PDFs,
yes.
As far as I know.
Yeah.
But no, but you can still use everything. You can still put your plots. You can still write your conclusions and just click Create Word. Here at EBAPE, some students did this because LaTeX is hard to get. So usually we would do everything as best as we could. Knit is just the verb they use to Word. And then we added everything in Word that we needed to. So, oh, this table was off or this conclusion was off. And then we just manually added. That was the easiest way to deal. But yeah, you can totally do in Word as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks for sharing this presentation. I learned a lot tonight. On the other hand, I would like to know how this course is going to deal with people who is not into this kind of technology.
Oh, sure, okay. It's not mandatory that you use code. Actually, here we have a great professor in qualitative analysis, more than one, actually. There are a lot of great works that come from EBAPE that do not use coding or statistical approach, okay? There is a qualitative approach that's being widely used. So this is more like Leo has a quantitative approach for his dissertation. He's measuring people's perceptions and moral code from parties and stuff like this. But if you have your approach that's nothing compared to statistical or math, you have the tools that you have a lot of tools that you can use, and you have great professors that are qualitative, have a qualitative approach. You do not need this, but it's nice. If you want to learn, you will. Here we have classes for using Stata, which is another great program for statistical analysis. You're gonna learn. If you wanna learn, you will. but you don't need
Wallace,
to.
okay, after that one, after you.
Maybe I turned, no, I did. So yeah, no, don't worry. I think only 3 out of the 15 admitted students come with some previous learning or knowledge on this. No, there's no specific class in R, but as Wallace was saying, the stats class starts with data. And I personally this year for the second stats class, I taught R. So it's definitely part of the curriculum. LaTeX is not, but I would argue there's the bigger, more important part, which is the community of students. So we hold a workshop, a seminar between classes in the lunch period in which we teach each other this kind of stuff. So, we love to hang around the room of master's and PhD students. And I would say half the time is either gossiping or actually working code. Because that's it. We are drawing the board, how connections work. We are trying to all solve the same lab for the same class. Everybody trying to figure out R. So it goes back to the hacker mentality. This is something you learn. There's no class that will teach you everything. It will, okay, now I know LaTeX. It's just trying. No, unfortunately. So it is just, I want to learn this. I know the professors appreciate it. And I know I'm in a community that is also trying to do the same stuff. That's the.
What's your name? Georgia. Very good question. Yes, you're welcome. Even though you don't know or you don't like or you're not so keen to learn all these tools. First of all, this is a master and PhD program in administration, period. Our main goal is to do research, yes, either in the qualitative or a quantitative approach, yes, but you can work on a Word file and write all your thesis in a Word file. No problem at all. You are welcome to do that. You can do all your statistical analysis. I wouldn't suggest Excel at all, but you can use Stata pretty easily, and that will work perfectly. No need to use R Markdown to compile LaTeX, R, and Zotero. You can print your PDF files, the paper, and read on paper. All fun. Since you learn, since you develop yourself, that's the main goal here. We just brought this presentation because, thank you, I learned a lot today. I also make some notes here. And I'm pretty sure that 6 months from today, it will be quite outdated. So it did a refresh in all of these or some of these aspects. So, and yes, we have some courses in R, for instance, Professor Peter's course in efficiency in R. We have some statistical courses, focus more on Stata, others in R, and others are also bringing Python either in a regular course or in a workshop, 15 hours course, 1 credit course. So yeah, most important, the community. I told you, top-notch students. You'll be your peers and you can learn a lot from them. More questions?
Rodrigo. Like for me, the big picture is that like it's easier than it seems when you like start doing it. Like someone's this and this, and then a lot of work that I will spend so much time doing is like doing automatically, and especially if you are pursuing like a scholar career, like the time that these simple tasks will save you, like in the small and medium and long run, is like it's profoundly changing, like for our like productivity. I use it like very simple word and like Mendeley integration. That's like a step down from this, and like it saved me like 50-60 hours for my dissertation. And like using this, the time it will save you not only for your first dissertation, but for future research you will do. It's like mind blowing. You have some academic. Have you produced any academic before, like publish any papers? Yeah, and you use like Mendeley or Word or something like that. Okay, like for me, that's the big picture. I found that using this kind of tools, like the time saving after you learn this kind of stuff is like nothing you ever seen before, and you also can be more organized in your process. Like everything is like in the touch of in very organized way in your computer.
And just to add to the old school, I get lost in this, trying to optimize, or even to make my RStudio colorful. And we have old school students as well that come, aren't you forgetting about theory? It's like, yeah, maybe. So yeah, it goes back to the diversity of the cohort, engineers, lawyers, political scientists, or people who are just trying to figure out what they want to do. The amount of input on your work being so varied helps, even for specific stuff.
Thank you for asking. Questions? Seems like everyone's starving. Okay, so let's have some food, some drinks, and then we can chat and help each other if you have any questions. Thank you. Please help me acknowledging our keynote speakers.